The American Vintage series is back. Let's check them out. Hi, Sam from Guitar Village here, and today we're excited to announce the brand new American Vintage 2 series. These will be replacing the American Original series, but what they will be doing is looking back at year-specific models, much like they did with the first line of vintage reissue guitars. Today we're going to be focusing solely on the pre-CBS models. Let's get started. So first up then, what will vintage aficionados want to know about this series? I think the first thing they're going to ask is, what lacquer is it? And it's nitrocellulose, just like the originals had. It's going to have a 7¼ inch radius fretboard, so it will be vintage correct. And it will also have clay dots on the rosewood models, something that the American Original series didn't have. Next up, the players will be asking, well, what's good for us in this? And I can tell you there's quite a few nice refinements on these models. They've gone for modern electrics, so you've got a 5-way switch on the Strat. You've also got the bridge pickup wired up to its own tone pot, so while these are going to have vintage voiced year-specific pickups, it'll also be very nice for those people who want to use lots of sounds on board. Also, it's going to have vintage tall frets, so it's going to be very playable as well. We're going to have a look at some of these models in depth now. So first up, we're checking out the 51 Tele in Butterscotch Blonde. And this is very, very cool because Fender for a long time have done a 52 reissue guitar, but the 51 reissue, which is pretty close, but there's some really nice subtle changes in there. The pickup sounds slightly different, and throughout, instead of using Phillips head screws, they use flat head screws to make it really, really authentic. You can see them on the back there. Even the Strat buttons have flat head screws on them too. So it's a very cool guitar. It has an ash body with a solid, chunky 51U profile maple neck, and it's got 3 brass saddles which give this a really distinct tone. Next up, we have moved on to the 60s with this 63 Tele reissue from Fender. Now, during that period, Fender were favouring alder bodies over ash, giving a slightly different sound and a little bit more of a mid-range push as well on it. They also went to rosewood fretboards in the late 50s, and being a 63 reissue model, it has the round laminate rosewood fretboard on there, also with the clay dots, which I think people are going to love. The pickups are voiced for a 63 sound, so they've taken some original 63 Teles and tried to recreate that sound with these. It has threaded steel saddles, which are very vintage correct for that period, and we have a medium C-shaped neck on there. You might have noticed in the background as well, we have the sunburst version of this guitar. This is the surf green, and there's also a red transparent finish available too. So we are jumping back into the 50s and checking out this lovely 57 reissue Strat. For a long time, Fender were doing 56 reissues, but I think a lot of players really wanted a slightly slimmer neck, still with that V profile, and this 57 style soft V is really, really lovely in the hands. This one features an alder body, but you can get it in a vintage blonde finish with an ash body, or if you like the sound of alder, there's also a seafoam green too. It has 57 voiced pickups, and something that they've done for a little while now, which I really like on the vintage reissue series, is having a cold roll steel block as well, giving it a little bit more mass and a bit more sustain. Okay, now for the last guitar, we're jumping back into the 60s with this 1961 reissue Strat. And I think this really will be the jewel in the crown for the Fender American Vintage 2 lineup. They're going to be offering this in 3 different colours. It will be in the 3 colour sunburst like I'm holding here. It will be an Olympic white and a colour that we adore here at the shop, Fiesta Red. And I think that's going to be so popular with the players. Unlike the 63 Tele we were checking out earlier, this one has a slab rosewood fretboard, but still with the clay dots in there too. The neck profile on this specific model will be a 61 medium C. So there is the brand new American Vintage 2 series. I really love this series, and I think Fender have really hit the nail on the head with this. Players and vintage aficionados really wanted to get back to those year-specific models where the American original series was kind of bits of the decade put together. And they were really nice guitars, but you know, for us vintage guys, we really love those year-specific models. What I think this could really open us up to as well is where they've done this vintage reissue series, it does mean that maybe they'll bring back the Hot Rod series as well. So you can have these guitars vintage style, but with some modern refinements as well on top of what they've already done. So you might get some flatter fretboard radiuses, locking tuners and some hotter pickups, but let's wait and find out. As always, the links will be in the description below, so if you want to find out any more about these incredible guitars or any of the other guitars in the series as well we haven't mentioned today, then make sure you get on our website and check them out. Thanks for watching.